Mercedes' performance in Spain has everyone asking whether they can replicate that success in the upcoming races. Having finally gotten rid of the zero-pod concept, Mercedes secured a 4th and 5th place finish in Monaco, followed by a double podium in Spain. The gap to Red Bull is still there though, but is it as big as it looks? Or can Mercedes close it and start fighting for race wins very soon? There is evidence to suggest they can, and today we're going to check that out, so don't go anywhere. Mercedes took a huge step forward in Spain, moving past Aston Martin on track and in the constructors' standings, with a pretty comfortable 2nd and 3rd place finish. Even more impressive was George Russell starting behind Sergio Perez, and then finishing in front of him. Mercedes being able to beat one of the Red Bulls on track is massive, and a clear sign that things are going in the right direction. This is just the first step in a process though. Mercedes have a base they can work on. Now it's just the simple matter of improving their car to the same level as the RB19. Alright, maybe it isn't simple, but hopefully the path forward is clear to them now. After a 2-week break, F1 returns to action as the teams head to the second North American stop in the 2023 schedule, the Canadian Grand Prix. We reported last week on the fires in Canada and the potential for a cancelled Grand Prix. At the moment, the air quality around Montreal is bordering on unhealthy, but certainly not bad enough to cause a race cancellation. For now, everything seems fine and the race should be going ahead. You all know the current situation in the sport. Max Verstappen is dominant and is leading his team to what could be one of the most convincing Constructors' title wins in the sport's history. But with 15 Grand Prix left to go, there are still plenty of opportunities for their rivals to catch up, and one of them enjoyed a particularly strong weekend last time out in Spain. Mercedes, with their highly upgraded W14, now appears to be the most likely candidates to challenge Christian Horner & Co. 2015 LMP2 Le Mans winner Richard Bradley believes the Silver Arrows are a dark horse for the race in Montreal. "I think Canada is awesome," he said during the On Track GP podcast. "It's one where you really have to be super aggressive with it. It's got the infamous Wall of Champions, which is the wall on the exit of the final corner, because every world champion normally ends up crashing. Who do I expect to be stronger? I don't think it'll suit Red Bull as much as it's got very long straights. I think they'll be quick because they're quick everywhere, there's no question. But you know what? The way that Mercedes have upgraded themselves in Barcelona, they got a couple of weeks off to evaluate everything. They could be a dark horse, and Lewis Hamilton got his first win in Canada as well. It is a circuit that Hamilton has great success at, having not only won his first F1 race there, but been victorious 6 more times, putting him level with Michael Schumacher for most wins at the circuit. But he's not been victorious there since 2019, largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but also Max Verstappen's win in 2022. Should it rain, then Bradley is backing Hamilton, who he believes is the best driver in the wet. "You've got to go with Lewis," he said when asked which driver is the best in wet conditions. "He's just done it too many times over the years. We remember Silverstone in 2008, we remember Monaco. He's just done it more times than we can remember, so Lewis 100%. That is a very bold claim from Bradley, but there is some sense in what he is saying. Lewis Hamilton may have finished 24 seconds behind Max Verstappen, but that was by far the closest they've been all season, ignoring Australia obviously, which finished behind a safety car. The Red Bull team were very quick to point out after the race that even though the gap was closing, Max was still way ahead of Mercedes. For now, they might not be worried, but they should be worried about what Mercedes could bring in the future. Hamilton is certain that Mercedes' success in Spain is a true reflection of where the team is heading, even though it still faces stiff competition from Aston Martin and Ferrari. They normally say if you're quick in Barcelona, then the car should generally be good everywhere, and I think we'll be strong in the next races, he explained. There will be times when the Aston may be slightly ahead, or the Ferrari maybe is ahead, but I think our race pace continues to be a strength of ours, as it was last year. I think this weekend particularly, we've understood the car even more, so I think we can count on that being strong moving forward. We've just got to try to lift the overall performance of the car a little bit more to try to close the gap to these guys, speaking of Red Bull. With their new design, Mercedes have opened up a plethora of development paths that they can use to improve their car. They're going to be behind a lot of the grid in terms of their knowledge of how a side-podded car works in the current regulations, but due to the lack of time spent refining the car, they should have plenty of things they can do to improve it in the next few races. Thanks to the 2-week break before the Canadian Grand Prix, They could have had time to bring refinements to their car already, in the form of new wing parts, changes to the louvers, or new suspension components to help improve the drivability of the overall car. They aren't going to bring refinements to the side pods just yet. That would be expensive. They'll want to make numerous changes at once if they're going to remanufacture the new side pods. Wolff spoke about these new development pathways after the race in Spain, saying that the gap to Red Bull was not as big as it seemed. "I think the learnings are that we have a good race car," Wolff told Sky F1. Lewis probably came out a good 5-6 seconds behind Max when he cleared Carlos, and I just think we are much closer. But you do see where the benchmark is. At the end, it says more than 20 seconds, but maybe in reality it's more like 15 seconds, which is just not where we want to be. I think towards the end, Lewis was cruising at around 2-3 seconds below the norm, so the gap was sub 15 seconds or around that benchmark. If what Toto is saying is true and Merc are actually sub 15 seconds behind Red Bull over a whole race, that would be an incredible achievement. That would have meant that their new suspension and side pods would have found them 3 to 4 tenths of a second a lap in race pace. We'll need a few more races yet to assess whether that is true or not, but if Mercedes can challenge Red Bull at Silverstone, that would be an incredible achievement and would make the all-English driver lineup very, very happy. We know that Mercedes have plenty more potential to unlock now that they have overhauled their design. That was the whole point behind the change in the first place. The real question is when we could see more of that potential unlocked. George Russell may have already provided an answer to that question, as he has teased that even more upgrades are on the way within a short timeline that covers the next few F1 races. "Yeah, Silverstone we're excited for," Russell told Sky F1. "I think we'll be in a good place there to fight for a good result. We might have a couple more things coming for Silverstone." So now we know that Mercedes can catch up with Red Bull thanks to their vast development potential. When should we expect them to? Could it be as early as Canada? Do we need to wait until the team gets back to Europe at the start of July? Or is it at Zandvoort after the summer break that the true battle begins? Despite George hinting at upgrades for Silverstone, the team are doing their best to not get ahead of themselves. They've taken a lesson from 2022, when the team anticipated that great performance at the Spanish Grand Prix would signal a return to form only to fall flat on its face in the following races. While Wolff does not take anything for granted, he does concede that the scenario does not appear to be a replay of what occurred a year ago. Asked if there was a belief that the Spanish GP progress was the reality of where Mercedes is right now, Wolff said, "I'm never optimistic. Only fools are optimistic. But generally, I think it feels different to last year. There is still a bouncing, which is interesting to understand why that is, but we've learned so much in the last 12 months. That's why I generally have lots of reasons to be a little bit more carefully confident." The reality of the situation at Mercedes is that they need to take stock of what they now have, then take another leap in a few races' time. It is important they don't get ahead of themselves and try to rush out new upgrades without completely understanding the current car. That was the mistake they kept making last year. As much as we all want another team to be fighting for race wins, Mercedes might not be in that fight until after the summer break, which will make the second half of the season very exciting. How do you think Mercedes will do in Canada? And when will their first race win come this season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.